The story starts with Lisa on a yacht in Milan, looking very happy. Soon after, she appears at a fashion show with her husband, Peter, and their daughter, Abigail. It becomes clear that Lisa is a shoe designer, and all the models are wearing shoes she created. After the show, Lisa, Peter, and Abigail go to the dressing room to meet the models. Lisa greets the main fashion designer and her assistant, Ralph. At that moment, Abigail tells her father that she's leaving because her husband, George, is waiting outside. She says goodbye to her mother and leaves with him. Meanwhile, Ralph, Lisa's friend and the assistant designer, tries to convince her not to retire. But Lisa has already made her decision and says it's the right time to stop working. When Peter walks over, Lisa says, "You know, Ralph," and he replies, "Yes." Then Peter tells Lisa, "I'll leave you with them and wait at the restaurant to celebrate this special occasion." A short while later, Lisa arrives at the restaurant where Peter is waiting. She sits down and they have a conversation. He tells her that he loves her shoe designs, but doesn't like the fashion designer or Ralph. They choose their dinner from the menu, and Peter mentions that the restaurant serves fish like no other place in Milan. We learn that Lisa often travels to Milan to finalize deals with shoe stores. Then Lisa asks Peter, "Have you ever wanted to be with another woman besides me?" He replies, "No, I've spent more than half my life with you. My love has never faded, and I've never felt the need for someone else." She responds, "I love you deeply. If I didn't, I would have left you long ago." A few days later, Lisa tells Peter that she's traveling to Milan to settle some accounts with clients. She packs her bags and leaves. 9 months later, we see Peter removing all of Lisa's clothes from their home. At the same time, Abigail visits and sees him gathering her mother's things. He hands the clothes to Abigail and says, "I don't want to see these clothes again." She answers, "We're the same size, but I don't want them." Just then, Peter finds Lisa's phone and places it in his desk drawer. Abigail hands him a piece of paper and says, "Mom asked me to give you this." When Peter opens it, he reads the words, Lake Como. That night, a voice message comes through on Lisa's phone. When Peter plays it, he hears a man say, "I miss you deeply. I haven't heard your voice in a long time and I wish I could." Peter is shocked. He never imagined Lisa might have been unfaithful for so long. He leaves the phone on Lisa's laptop and goes upstairs to sleep, but he can't stop thinking. He returns to the office and starts looking through photos on the laptop. At first, they're all family pictures. Then he finds a folder named Love. When he tries to open it, it asks for a password. He guesses a few times, but none of them work. He continues browsing and finds photos of Lisa with Ralph at the last fashion show. It's clear from the pictures that Ralph was very close to Lisa. Suddenly, an email arrives from someone named Ralph. In it, Ralph reminds Lisa of their love and begs her to leave everything behind and come to him so they can restart their relationship. The next morning, Peter visits the fashion house and confronts Ralph, asking, "Were you in a relationship with Lisa?" Ralph replies, "No, but I always wished we were. You're not right for her. I never understood why she loved you or married you." The fashion house owner then tells Peter that she knew Lisa had someone else in her life, but it wasn't Ralph. She doesn't know who the man was. Peter leaves and goes to visit Abigail. He tells her everything he has discovered, but she doesn't believe him. She says, "I won't let you speak that way about my mom." She prepares a room for him to stay in, but as soon as she leaves, Peter leaves the house. Back home, Peter sends a message to Ralph saying, "The woman you wrote to no longer exists," and he sends it. The next morning at his office, Peter asks his secretary to call Joy, the company's cybersecurity expert. When Joy arrives, he writes down the email address that had sent the message to Lisa and asks her to find the name and location of the sender. She asks if he plans to go after the person. He replies, "To kill him." She assumes he's joking but promises to get him all the information. Peter stays late at the office. In the evening, another email from Ralph arrives. In it, Ralph writes that love doesn't truly end. There are too many memories between them. He ends by saying he was happy Lisa replied to his earlier message. Peter then goes to the company's security manager and says, "You used to be an officer. Tell me where I can buy a gun." The man refuses and says, "I won't tell you," fearing Peter might be thinking of harming himself. Later, Peter tries different passwords again to open the folder on Lisa's laptop. At last, he types Lake Co., and the folder opens. He is stunned to see pictures of Lisa with another man in Milan. The photos show them together at restaurants by the lake and in a hotel room. The photos clearly show that Lisa was in a relationship with a man. Peter is heartbroken. At that moment, Joyce sends him the details of the email sender, and he learns the man's name is Ralph Cortez, a 36-year-old living in Italy, specifically on 36th Street in Milan. Peter tells his secretary to book a flight and a hotel in Milan. After arriving in the city, he heads to the building where Ralph lives. But the gate is locked, so he waits outside until a resident opens it. Before it closes again, Peter quickly sneaks inside. He searches for Ralph's name on the mailboxes near the entrance but can't find it. So, he walks upstairs and waits near the apartments, hoping to catch sight of Ralph. After some time, Ralph appears. Peter quietly follows him and watches as he enters a cafe. Peter goes in after him and looks around until he spots Ralph in the chess section. Peter stands still, not approaching him. Meanwhile, Abigail starts to worry about her father and tries to call him, but he doesn't answer. We then see Peter back at his hotel room, flipping through photos of Lisa with Ralph, noticing how cheerful and joyful she looked in those moments. That night, Peter can't sleep. His mind is flooded with thoughts. Early the next morning, Peter returns to the cafe and sits at the table where Ralph usually plays chess. When Ralph arrives, he tells Peter that the seat is his regular spot. Peter invites him to play a game of chess, and Ralph agrees. As they play, they begin talking and getting to know each other. Ralph shares that his mother is English, his father is Spanish, and he doesn't stay in one place for long. He loves traveling to London and New York. Just then, Peter receives a message from Abigail asking him to please let her know he's safe. Peter then asks Ralph about the places he visited in England. Ralph says he once went to Cambridge and met a woman from there, although he actually met her in Milan. He says she was a shoe designer and tells Peter the story of their first meeting. She was wearing a striking pair of red shoes. Though she was very beautiful, what truly caught his attention was the design and color of the shoes. He remembers how she walked toward him and spoke as though they had known each other forever. Peter then asks when that meeting took place. Ralph replies, 12 years ago. Peter feels a deep shock and sense of betrayal, but remains composed. He asks, when was the last time you saw her? Ralph answers, 9 months ago. But I believe I'll see her again soon. At the same time, Abigail and her husband visit Peter's house, but he's not there. Abigail finds her mother's phone, plays Ralph's voice message, and is shocked, because she had doubted her father's words before. The next day, Peter and Ralph meet again at the cafe for another chess game. During their match, Peter asks if Lisa used to visit Milan often. Ralph says yes, then shares a memory about them being at a shoe factory. That day, Lisa wanted to end their relationship, but he begged her to leave everything behind and run away with him. Then, he started dancing with her in front of the factory workers, and she looked incredibly happy. After they danced, the workers clapped for them. That night it rained, and they ran together under the rain. Peter recalls a moment when Lisa returned from Milan and smiled as she saw him at the door. She told him she missed him so much. Back then, he felt happy, thinking the time apart made her value him more, not knowing she had been unfaithful behind his back. He also remembers the last words she said to him at the restaurant. The following morning, Peter meets Ralph again at a museum. He asks if Ralph had ever married any of the women he had relationships with. Ralph replies, I don't believe in marriage. Why would I tie myself down and miss out on meeting other women? He then says he has a son from a past affair who lives with his mother, but he knows nothing about the boy. Ralph then asks Peter if he is married. Peter answers, yes, I've been married for 25 years. I love my wife, and she loves me. We trust each other completely, and neither of us has ever cheated. Ralph responds, It's rare for two people to stay loyal that long. The next day, Peter and Ralph are back at the cafe, playing chess again. Ralph says, "I'm going to win this time. You're stuck and can't escape." But Peter surprises him by making a move and winning the game. Just then, Ralph receives a call from Lisa's phone. He panics, quickly answers, and calls out her name, then runs out of the cafe. Peter follows him quietly. We learn that Abigail had made the call using her mother's phone. When she hears Ralph's voice, she ends the call without speaking. But that call gives Ralph renewed hope of seeing Lisa again. The next day, Abigail goes to her father's company to find out where he has gone. Meanwhile, we return to Ralph, who tells Peter that the call he received the day before was from the shoe designer. He says she's the most beautiful woman he's ever seen, and that when she left him, he realized she was the only one he had truly loved. He begins describing their relationship in detail. At that point, Peter loses his temper. Ralph thinks Peter is just upset about losing the chess game and says, "It's just a game." Suddenly, Ralph notices one of his creditors entering the cafe and quickly slips out. Peter pays the man what Ralph owes and follows him. Just then, Abigail appears and stops Peter. He asks, "What are you doing here?" She replies that she found out who her mother had been involved with, called him, and recognized his voice. Peter tells her, "I see him every day. I play chess with him, talk to him, and just by the way he speaks and acts, I can tell he's a pitiful man." He then takes her back to his hotel, shows her the photos of Ralph and Lisa, and reads her the emails Ralph had written. Afterward, Peter bursts out, asking his daughter, "Tell me, was I not enough? Did I fail her somehow? How could she get involved with someone like that? I'm seriously thinking about killing him." He then reveals to Abigail that he was the one replying to Ralph's emails, pretending to be Lisa. Abigail is stunned. "How could you do that?" she asks. "Just forget all of this and come home to London." But Peter refuses, so she leaves. The next day, Peter goes to Ralph's building. As he arrives, he hears a noise coming from the janitor's room. Curious, he follows it and finds Ralph wearing shabby clothes inside a small ground-floor apartment. That's when Peter realizes Ralph is the building's caretaker. Ralph explains that he only comes down there to care for a small turtle he found at the building entrance. Peter notices a hammer in the room. In a sudden moment of anger, he picks it up, ready to strike Ralph, who has his back turned. But Ralph turns around and gently hands him the turtle, saying how cute it is. Peter takes the turtle, then gives it back and walks away. When he returns to the hotel, he finds Abigail with her bag packed. She tells him, "I'm going back to London. You should come, too, and let this go." But Peter refuses again and she leaves. Back in his room, Peter sends Ralph an email, still pretending to be Lisa. He tells him to meet her at their old place, a hotel on the shores of Lake Como, on Friday at 8 p.m. in the restaurant. When Ralph reads the message, he's overjoyed. He calls Peter and invites him to dinner at his apartment the next day. Meanwhile, Peter borrows the keys to an apartment in Ralph's building, knowing the owners are away. The next day, before going to Ralph's place, Peter enters that apartment. As he steps into the building, Ralph calls from the stairs, "Come up to my apartment." Peter follows him, knowing it's not really his. Inside, Ralph excitedly tells Peter that he's going to meet Lisa on Friday and asks to borrow money. Peter gives him the full amount. Ralph happily begins packing his bags to book a suite at the hotel. On Friday night, Ralph leaves his room and heads to the restaurant, thrilled to finally reunite with Lisa. But when he arrives, he's shocked to see Peter waiting there. Peter calmly tells him, "I'm Lisa's husband. She died of cancer 9 months ago." We flash back to the day Peter learned about Lisa's illness. The doctor tells him that Lisa had known for some time but refused treatment, and now it was too late. When Peter asks why she refused help, the doctor explains that Lisa didn't want her body to be changed or disfigured. Back in the present, Ralph says Lisa made the right choice. "She was always beautiful," he says. "The treatment would have taken part of her body away." But Peter snaps, "What does that matter if it could have saved her life?" Another flashback shows Lisa telling Peter she had been truly happy during their marriage. Peter gently asks her to pick a place she loves, so he can take her there. He hands her a paper to write it down, but she can't do it. The next day, she writes Lake Como and gives it to her daughter to pass to Peter after her death. As Lisa's condition worsens, Peter and Abigail take turns caring for her. When she passes away, both are overcome with grief. Back in the present, Ralph asks how Peter found out about the affair. Peter answers, there was a folder on her laptop named Love. It was filled with pictures and messages. Ralph asks, did you read the messages? Peter replies, I read every word. In fact, I was the one replying to you near the end. Ralph shrugs. I won't lie, I've failed in life. But I'm very good at making a married woman, even one married to a successful man like you, feel a kind of love she never felt before. Maybe you got your revenge, but I got to live the best days of my life with your wife. She was happy with me. She loved me. And thanks for the money. It bought me this suit and a room at this fancy hotel. Of course, I'll never be able to repay you. At that moment, Peter quietly walks away and leaves him behind. We return one last time to the day Lisa died, with Peter and Abigail at her bedside, both broken by sorrow. Back in the present, we see Peter returning home, to Cambridge. After some time, he calls Abigail and asks to meet in London. Peter learns Ralph is in London too, so he visits the pub Ralph used to go to and invites him to dinner. Ralph accepts. The dinner is held in memory of Lisa. Peter invites Lisa's friends and the owner of the fashion house where she once worked. When Abigail arrives, she hears her father introducing Ralph to the guests saying, this is my wife's friend, and tonight we honor the memory of my beloved Lisa. Abigail walks up and stands beside him, proud of her father. In the final scene, Peter and his daughter are at the train station, waiting to return to Cambridge. He looks at her and says, Ralph is a small man. He doesn't even deserve our revenge. And so the story ends. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming stories.